You are Locked On College Basketball, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, Isaac, closing out the show here, big picture conversation, looking at the number one seed battle. Because for so much of the season, it's just felt pretty much locked up for Auburn and Duke. The two teams with the National Player of the Year top candidates in Janai Broome and Cooper Flagg. Two teams that are dominating their respective conferences, albeit a significant difference between the depth of the SEC and the depth of the ACC. But I don't think there's anybody really questioning that those two teams are locked in, straight up, put it in pen. They are going to be number one seeds when the Selection Sunday Committee rolls out the bracket in a couple of weeks. But the interesting battle will be which two teams join them, because right now there's pretty clearly a top six in college basketball. They're the top six teams at KenPom. They're the teams everybody's kind of talking about being in this mix. This is with all due respect to St. John's and a couple other teams that are kind of just on the outside of this conversation. But to me, it feels like there's four teams vying for those final two spots. And that would be three teams out of the SEC in Florida, Alabama, and Tennessee, and then Big 12 winner Houston, who has just continued to absolutely roll through a very, very good conference. And we obviously had the Alabama-Tennessee game, which gave us a nice data point as Meshack hits that incredibly clutch shot for the Vols in that game. But right now we're at a position where I'm very confident that the other two number one seeds are going to be among these four teams. But I'm not sure which ones it's going to be. And I think it's going to be fun to kind of take a look at who we think deserves those spots.
Andy, it's funny. As you're talking, I'm just looking at some of the net stuff. I don't have their team sheets pulled up. I'll do that in a second. But what's interesting to me, obviously Auburn is blitzing the entire country, dude. They've got 16 quad one wins. But when you look at that alone, it's like, I've been like, I think Houston might slide into that number 3 overall. But they've only got 7 quad one wins. All for none of these. Here's the thing. None of these 6 teams have a single loss outside quad one.
Yeah.
Alabama has the most losses, but they in Tennessee have the second most quad one wins with 10 each. I'm trying to scroll down quickly. I don't think those are the only 3 teams in America with double digit quad one wins. Auburn, Tennessee, Alabama. Obviously that's a function of playing in the SEC.
Sure.
But then you look at other stuff like Alabama. I'm feeling like they're on the outside looking in right now, in part because they choked away. I thought they should have beaten Tennessee. These dudes have only played 2 quad 4 games all season long, Andy.
Yeah, I know.
That is insane to me what they've done with that. And so it's almost a similar thing to what I was talking about with the bubble conversation. If you're the selection committee, what is it that you're going to value to make this determination? And I think that some of that is still ahead of us, Andy. And what I mean by that is, can Houston double dip on Big 12 regular season and tournament? Right. That would clearly be a leg up on Florida, Tennessee, and Alabama, unless one of them does it. Right. Clearly a leg up because the Auburn's got the regular season already locked up. It's those kind of things. How does Alabama navigate? They've already lost the first, but now they have a shot at both Florida and Auburn this week, number 3 and 1 in the nation ahead of today's new AP poll. So, Andy, I think if I was saying it right now today, I think I would go Houston and either Tennessee or Alabama, and maybe give the edge to Tennessee since they just won this head-to-head matchup. And then just have Bama as the first 2 and Florida as the second 2. I think that's where I'd be at right now.
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense. And it's just crazy to be, it's really interesting to me. And it kind of depends how the committee really looks at the early season struggles that Houston had. Like they struggled in their non-conference, but absolutely just ran through their conference with no problems whatsoever, which was absolutely insane to see them be able to do that. They're 7-4 in quad one games. Florida has the worst record. They're 6-4 in quad one games. It's not a bad record, mind you. It just happens to be the worst out of these teams. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I think I'm with you. I think Houston does get one of them. I mean, they have 4 losses all season long. All of them, again, quad one losses, like we said. Florida's 6-4, Houston's 7-4. Tennessee and Bama have more of the quad one wins, obviously, as we said. But like again, Kentucky has 9 quad one wins, but they also have 9 quad one losses. So like just looking at quad one wins is not the way to do it. I mean, I think Oregon has like a bunch of quad one wins this year, and they're not. They're 8-6 in quad one games. That's great, but like they're not. That's not the only metric you want to use here. So I'm very interested. I don't think that like road record is something that gets taken into account, but it is notable that Houston is 9-0 on the road. They have not lost a true road game this season, whereas Florida's 6-3, Tennessee's 6-4, Alabama's 8-3. Again, the road opponents that they're playing in the SEC are great, but Houston's won some very, very good road games this year as well. So I think if it was me, I would go Auburn, Duke, Houston, Tennessee. If the season ended right now, with again Florida and Bama being those top two seeds, but like we said, these teams are all playing each other still in the SEC and might play each other again in the SEC tournaments. There's still lots of opportunities for things to change.
Yeah, I mean, Andy, do you know how many other teams in Division I out of the 363 other non-Houston teams are undefeated on the road?
How many?
Zero.
So I figured it could be many.
I'm not saying that's not a thing, but it's like, man, that's something impressive. And I know you don't play any Big 12 tournament games or any NCAA tournament games on the road,
right?
But it ain't at home. I'll tell you that. And that to me is something. Andy, so folks, we're curious your thoughts. Are we off? Are you with us? What are we doing? Andy, we need to put a poll up about this on YouTube and the Twitter machines and see what the good people are thinking.